If you value serious historical inquiry and hard evidence over surface-level storytelling, subscribe to this channel now and stay with me, because what follows is not a recycled narrative. This is a deep dive into how medieval dryland societies solved water scarcity at a scale and reliability many modern regions still struggle to match. What you're about to hear matters not just for understanding the past, but for anyone thinking seriously about long-term survival, resilience, and sustainable infrastructure in arid environments. For the next minute, let's establish why this topic deserves your attention. Medieval drylands were not marginal backwaters waiting to collapse. They were productive, urbanized, and strategically important regions supporting armies, trade networks, and dense populations under constant environmental pressure. Water scarcity was not theoretical. Failure meant famine, abandonment, or conquest. The solutions developed under those conditions were not accidental or primitive. They were engineered systems refined over centuries, designed to work without electricity, without centralized bureaucracies, and often without surface water at all. Understanding how these systems functioned, why they lasted, and how they failed gives us practical insight into sustainable water management today, especially as modern systems prove increasingly fragile, why medieval drylands forced innovation rather than decline. Dryland societies across the medieval world faced, some pretty predictable challenges: low rainfall, high evaporation, seasonal variability, and the constant threat of drought. What really distinguished successful regions wasn't just access to rivers, but, their mastery of groundwater runoff control and storage. Communities learned to think in terms of decades rather than just seasons. Water was treated as infrastructure first and a resource second. Rights, maintenance obligations, and even defense were all organized around it. Honestly, this mindset is the foundation of every technique we'll examine. The qanat system turned invisible groundwater into permanent lifelines. The most influential medieval dryland technology was, without a doubt, the qanat system. Originating earlier but really perfected during the medieval period, qanats consisted of gently sloping underground tunnels tapping aquifers in foothills and delivering water to settlements miles away without the need for pumps. Gravity did all the work, and the underground placement eliminated evaporation. Vertical shafts allowed for maintenance and airflow, while also preventing contamination. What made qanats revolutionary was, honestly, their reliability. Unlike wells that could run dry or rivers that, fluctuated with the seasons, qanats provided a steady flow all year round. Entire cities were actually planned around their outlets. For modern application, the lesson is clear: decentralized gravity-fed systems really do reduce energy dependence. In arid rural regions today, shallow infiltration galleries built along natural slopes can, with the help of modern surveying tools, replicate this principle while keeping maintenance simple and local. Desert cities, for instance, captured storms that arrived only a few days a year. In places like Petra, medieval and late antique engineers truly mastered flash flood harvesting. Instead of fearing those rare but violent rain events, they shaped landscapes to exploit them. Stone-lined channels, diversion walls, and sediment traps slowed runoff and fed it into cisterns carved directly into bedrock. Some of these systems could store years' worth of supply. This approach is honestly directly applicable today. Modern homesteads in semi-arid zones can replicate these methods by shaping catchment surfaces, installing silt traps, and prioritizing underground storage over exposed tanks. The key medieval insight was accepting irregular supply while designing for maximum capture when water appeared. Agricultural terraces doubled as water control systems. In medieval drylands, Terraces were not merely for farming slopes. They functioned as hydrological tools. Stone walls slowed runoff, increased infiltration, and prevented soil loss. In regions under Islamic rule in Al-Andalus, terrace systems were integrated with canals and field-level distribution networks that allocated water precisely and predictably. For survivalists and small-scale farmers today, the lesson is that soil and water must be managed together. Simple contour terraces built with local stone or compacted earth can dramatically increase moisture retention without irrigation infrastructure. Medieval farmers understood that losing soil meant losing water storage capacity, a principle modern agriculture often ignores. Communal governance kept systems alive for centuries. None of these systems survived on engineering alone. Medieval dryland societies developed strict maintenance schedules, water-sharing laws, and penalties for neglect. Connaught shafts were cleaned annually. Cisterns were desilted after storms. Water rights were inherited, recorded, and defended. When governance collapsed, systems failed even if the physical structures remained intact. This has, modern implications. Sustainable water systems require social agreements just as much as technical design. Community-managed infrastructure, clear maintenance roles, and shared incentives were not, ideological choices, but survival necessities. Any attempt to revive ancient techniques without addressing governance will fail just as surely today. So, why did these systems outlast many modern solutions? Medieval water systems endured because they were low energy, repairable with local materials, and designed within environmental limits. They did not chase growth beyond sustainable yield. When populations exceeded capacity, expansion meant extending systems, not over-extracting resources. This stands in sharp contrast to modern aquifer depletion driven by pumps that honestly hide long-term consequences. Applying this knowledge today means prioritizing durability over convenience. Gravity, underground storage, and passive flow all reduce failure points. Designing within recharge limits preserves systems for generations rather than just decades. The medieval drylands were not places of resignation. They were, in fact, laboratories of survival. Their engineers, farmers, and administrators solved problems we are still struggling with, using tools and principles that, frankly, remain relevant. If you take this knowledge seriously, it can inform everything from academic research to off-grid planning and climate adaptation strategies. If this kind of deep, evidence-driven history matters to you, do subscribe to the channel. Share this video with others who care about serious historical understanding and help keep this archive alive.